welcome back to Max Reaction. How are you doing today on this fine Sunday? It's getting close to Monday for a lot of you. Having a good day with my kids. My kids are here and my wife. Anyway, we're going to check out a video called the $2 bill of the East, the Filipino Peso. And I actually like looking at different currencies. I like to see what kind of pictures are on currencies, what kind of colors are used, what kind of history is put on, you know, the currency around the world, because that's the way we do things in this world. We put history and historical figures on currencies. So let's check out the Filipino Peso. Let's see what the story is. Let's check it out.
You'd be right to call some of the world's banknotes a little boring, or drab, or unimaginative.
I agree.
My apologies for immediately offending about 1.3 billion people, but as someone who's drawn to colourful and shiny objects, you've got to admit, these aren't exactly the most exciting banknotes in the world.
Some of them are.
The Philippine Peso, however, is an explosion of colour.
Rainbow.
Featuring natural wonders, native wildlife, and historical figures. And in this video, we're going to take a closer look at them and their hidden secrets.
Secrets?
If you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. And as a little side note, I get tons of comments about the Philippine flag being wrong in this intro. It isn't wrong, it's just that when displayed vertically, the colours get flipped. Anyway, let's begin with the lowest denominator.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I always get comments on my flag saying it's put wrong. It's not wrong, my friends. This is the way it goes if it's hung on a wall. And if you need references, go check out some Philippine government buildings when they have the flag hung vertically. They'll have it the same way as I do. Or even in some, you know, Filipino colleges, you'll see the same thing. So, my flag is correct. I'm giving respect to the Filipino flag. Anyway, this ain't about the flag. This is about the currency. Let's see what we can learn about the peso.
The bright orange 20 peso. It sees the country's second president, Manuel L. Quezon, who also appears in the watermark and again in this box on the top left.
That's cool.
There's also this cool tilt effect up here, where if you tilt the note and get the angle just right, you can see the number 20. The background features...
I did not know that. I'm going to have to check that out. I have some Filipino peso in my wallet right now. I just don't have a 20 peso bill.
The Malacanang Palace, plus a historical scene of when Filipino was declared the national language in 1935. The reverse sees an Asian palm civet in the foreground and the Banawe rice terraces at the back. Now this banknote is fairly low value, approximately 32p, 40 US cents, or 36 Euro cents, and with the amount of wear and tear they receive in circulation, it was recently deemed more cost effective to replace it with a coin. Although I don't have one to show you, it retains Quezon's portrait from the banknotes, which are being slowly removed from circulation. Next comes the striking red 50 peso, featuring 4th President Sergio Osmeña, with an image of the country's first parliament on the left, and of the Leyte landing on the right, the first steps towards the country's liberation in the Second World War. The background, as with all denominations, is made up of microprint text. On the back can be seen a pair of giant trevally fish in front of Tar Lake, a crater lake within which is an active volcano, which itself has a smaller crater lake within.
And is that the tall volcano that just exploded? Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but so much deep history in just the first two bills. Very important history. That's, you know, that's why I like looking at currency.
Like all the notes in this series, the featured species glows under UV light, and these random flecks within the paper become visible.
I did not know that.
Paper simply glows bright blue, and ordinary banknote paper doesn't glow at all. The Philippine Peso has added these tiny fluorescent strands into the paper at the pulp stage as an additional security feature. Things start to get really interesting with the 100 peso note. It features 5th President Manuel A. Rojas, alongside the country's central bank to his left, and a historical scene of the proclamation of the Third Republic on his right. The reverse features a Mayon volcano and a whale shark, which is a seriously cool animal to have in currency. But when it was released, this note was deemed too similar in colour to the all-blue 1000 peso, particularly this middle section. Though it might seem easy to tell them apart here in perfect lighting, imagine you're a taxi driver working at night, or you work in a dark club or bar or somewhere.
Makes sense.
It created enough problems to warrant a reissue of the note, fully purple.
Brighter.
Today both notes circulate simultaneously, but the old style are no longer printed and becoming increasingly rare to find. But it certainly isn't the rarest peso note. That title goes to the 200 peso, often referred to as the $2 bill of the East. Although I couldn't find any reliable figures, this denomination is rarely seen in circulation, and many of the country's residents have never even seen one.
I don't think I've seen it the few times I've been to the Philippines, so it must be pretty dang rare.
But he seems to know why. What's more, it's a note of very useful value, worth about $4 and bridging the gap between the 100 peso and the 500 peso, so it should rightfully be a very common banknote. If you know the reason, please let me know, as I've gone slightly mad trawling the web for answers.
I have no idea
but
why.
Anyway, it sees the country's 9th president besides the House of Independence and the Baraswain Church, although these images were slightly updated in 2017. The reverse features a Tarzia against a backdrop of the country's gorgeous chocolate hills. Next, it's a vivid yellow 500 peso, portraying the country's 11th and first female president, Corazon Aquino. Beside her is her husband, Senator Benigno S. Aquino Jr., who was assassinated in 1983. To the right is a statue in his honor,
at an airport, right?
From the People Power Revolution that followed his death. Interestingly, it was dubbed the Yellow Revolution, since many protesters wore yellow ribbons, which explains the color of the note. And
there's big controversy in the Yellow Revolution. There's a lot of beliefs one way or another.
More interestingly, the couple's son went on to become president himself and was in office at the time of the note's release. His signature can be seen to the right of the portraits. The reverse features a blue-naped parrot and the Puerto Princesa subterranean river, and was subject to quite some controversy. Firstly, the parrot's beak and feathers are incorrectly coloured, later revealed to be a limitation of the printing method used. And then the little dot that indicates a river on the map of the Philippines is slightly incorrect. I mean, it's not exactly the biggest error in the world. I'm looking at you, Australia, and your $2.3 billion typo.
Right.
But then the 1,000 peso came under fire too. The front depicts 3 famously heroic figures who died resisting the Japanese occupation during World War II. To the left are crowds celebrating the centennial of Philippine independence in 1998. A South Sea pearl is featured on the reverse, with the two Bataha Reefs National Park
big pearls in the Philippines,
including some cool-looking fish and a sea turtle. Again though, this denomination was criticised for the location of the map marker. Now this time the location is quite dramatically wrong, but the printers explained they moved it so it wouldn't interfere with this, a UV security mark of the featured species. I suppose it makes sense, but it would have made more sense to just not include a marker at all. And on all 6 notes,
or a different marker,
the province of Batanes was entirely excluded from the map. Though again, this was a conscious design choice, essentially cropped out since it was too far north. Despite these minor criticisms, the Philippine peso has truly joined the ranks as one of the most beautiful, interesting, and certainly colourful currencies on the
very
planet.
colourful.
Not only do they detail significant events in the country's history, but they showcase the very best of its natural wonders and indigenous wildlife, resulting in a series of notes that faithfully honour such a wonderful country.
I actually learned quite a bit about the Filipino peso. I don't know if you did or not. I didn't know some of it glowed in the dark, some of the history, and you know, I've never seen a 200 peso bill. Have you? Let me know if you have one or you've seen one. Surely they're around, but I think the 200 peso bill would be mighty useful if they would print more of them, because a lot of times, you know, you might have a 1,000 peso bill and the cab driver or whatever you're buying, they don't have change. I've ran into that a lot. I'll have a 1,000 peso bill and nobody can break it to wherever I go. I need a much smaller bill. So my advice in the Philippines, if you go, make sure you have plenty of small bills. It will help you in the long run. It's easier to make change, and you know, I think it's just safer to carry smaller bills. Anyway, those are my thoughts, those are my feelings. Very colorful, very unique bill for, you know, the world. The United States dollar, the USD, you know, mainly just presidents on the front, and there's a few other things, but like he said, boring, same color, all that. Anyway, those are my thoughts, those are my feelings. If you would like to see me to react to any other video, recommend down below. If you got a link to it, even better, throw that down there too in the comment section. And hopefully you're having a good day, and I'll see you next time. But for now, spread that peace, spread that love, spread that happiness. See ya.